We'll call the Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, September 26th to order at 10 o'clock. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Those who are able, please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, any additions to the agenda? Commissioner Concepcion, Commissioner Dershowitz?
Not aware.
All right, we'll move on to the meeting minutes. Changes? No? Take a motion then.
I will move to approve the minutes from the meeting held September 19th, 2023.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the meeting held on September 19th, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to our proclamations. We have two today. One is proclamation number 40, proclaiming October 22nd as Center County Sports Hall of Fame Day in Center County. And we have a celebrity here, former county commissioner and current volunteer extraordinaire Keith Beerley. And I think you might have brought Tina and Bonnie to help? Just Bonnie. All right, well, why don't you come on up? And in fact, for a better camera angle, since there's just two of you, why don't you sit at the side of the table here? So we appreciate your raising the profile of those who participate in sports here in Center County. I believe it's primarily at the high school level is what you're aiming at.
High school and college. I think what it amounts to is we focus a lot on the high schools because obviously then they're native born, they're Center counties. And while that's not a total criteria, it helps you in the voting we've come up with through the years. Thanks for having us here today. We really appreciate it. As you said, our banquet will be held on October 22nd at the Penn Stater. We already have over 300 reservations, but we'd still like more people to come and enjoy the induction of 11 great athletes and coaches. The cost of that banquet is $45, and you can still get tickets off of our website, which is Center County Sports HOF for halloffame.com. So again, if you want to attend, there's still tickets available. What I thought I would do today is I handed out sheets to you there is just really quickly go over the 11 inductees that we have this year. We're really pleased that we hit every high school this year. Someone from each high school in Center County was elected by our 350 members in the balloting earlier this year. Dave Breon is first there. Dave was a star pitcher in softball, won over 500 games. As a pitcher, is in the Pennsylvania Softball Hall of Fame, and as a coach, won 2 state titles at Baldigo area as a softball coach. Eric Brugel was an outstanding wrestler at State College High School, won 2 state championships, went to Penn State and was Eastern Wrestling champion there. So he had an incredible career, won over 100 matches. John Kondo from Phillipsburg may be the best athlete to ever come out of Center County, and that's saying something. He was all-state in 3 sports. He was 275-pound wrestling champion, all-state linebacker in football, and all-state in baseball as a catcher. He went on to the University of Maryland, played 50 straight games there, and then 15 years with the Oakland Raiders in the NFL. It is hard to find someone in Center County with 3 sports where they're all state. Josh Hall from Penns Valley is a great story. Josh, obviously playing at Penns Valley, you don't get a lot of statewide recognition in football. He walked on at Penn State, and by his senior year, he was the starting linebacker and finished second in the team in tackles to future All-Pro Navarro Bowman, second team All-Big Ten in football, and ESPN named him to the first team academic All-American. So he was literally the All-American boy coming out of Penns Valley. Kelly Kephart-Rees is now the athletic director at Phillipsburg High. She won 16 letters at Phillipsburg High School, lettering in 4 sports for 4 years in a row. And we have,
hard to do.
it is hard to do.
She had to have been playing at least 2 sports at the same time.
Volleyball and basketball. In
Yeah.
basketball, she scored over 1,200 points. And in softball, she still leads Phillipsburg all-time hitting, number of hits, and she never had an error in 4 years of softball. So she had an incredible career. She's now Dr. Kelly Kephart-Rees, receiving her PhD at Penn State. Doug Taylor is one of a slew of great wrestlers coming out of Baldigore High School, a state champion, went to West Virginia where he was an All-American. But Coach Rhodes will tell you one of the amazing things about Taylor was 5 times he was the outstanding wrestler in one of their tournaments, whether it was Mannheim or the Top Hat. So he not only won the championship there, but he would be named the outstanding wrestler in the entire tournament. Kenny Walker from Bellefonte here was a 3-sport star, wrestling, football, and baseball, and 3 seemed to be the key with him. He finished 3rd in the states in wrestling. He played 3rd base for the baseball team, and they finished 3rd in the states. But when he went to Lock Haven, then he captained both the wrestling and football teams and was named the Defensive Player of the Year in the PSAC conference in football. So he had an incredible collegiate career. Larry Weiser was longtime football coach at Clarion High School, and the Clarion High School football field is now named after him. That occurred at their opening game this year. He's the all-time winningest coach, not only in Clarion, but in their conference. He won over 200 football games. Those 8 people were all elected this spring on the ballot. Condo received more votes than anyone has ever received in our history of voting. This is the 6th class. Of the deceased people that will be going in, Ron Pavlechko and Gowan Stoker were both great high school coaches here. Pavlechko at State College High and Stoker at Baldigo area.
He lived in Bellefonte.
Stoker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a Bellefonte resident.
And he's getting a lot of support at the banquet. More people are coming for Stoker than any other individual so far. The final person that we are inducting is Ann Enfield, and she's coming in under our legend category, which means that the board selected her. She was not selected by the voters. I knew Ann Enfield. She was in college in the same class I was in, and when she came to State College High School to coach, she had the track and field team for 8 years, never lost a match, and won the state championship. 5 years in cross country and lost 1 match. So in 13 years of coaching, she lost 1 match the whole time. And tragically, she died in her 40s. But she's being honored as a legend. So those 11 people will all be honored at the banquet. Families obviously representing the deceased, and the 8 individual inductees will all be there. So again, we have over 300 people coming, but we would love to have more. We can seat up to 450 or so, so there's plenty of room left if anyone wants to attend.
Well, fabulous class of inductees. I think you said Bonnie? Did you want to mention anything?
Covered it.
I'm sorry, I should have introduced Bonnie. Bonnie's our secretary, and I don't know if you remember the TV commercial where 3 little boys are sitting around having breakfast, and they're not sure about it, the 2 older ones, and they say, Mikey will eat it, and he
Oh,
would
yeah.
always, well, Bonnie always gets that. Anytime we have an issue where we don't know what to do with it, we give it to Bonnie, and she takes care of it. So she's the jack of all trades, putting the program together, putting the banquet together. She does a great job for us. We have 15 members on the board of directors, and we're proud. We think we're going in the right direction. We have better finances than ever, more members than ever, more people voting in the election than ever. So I think we're on a good trajectory.
Well, it's a tremendous class of 2023 inductees, incredibly accomplished people, as you mentioned, from every high school in the county. It's wonderful, and you have a nice reception area before the dinner where the families gather, and there's a lot of memorabilia on the walls. And
That's a great point. At noon, we start, and for an hour, you can go in and talk to the inductees and look over their memorabilia, and they can share their memories with you about their days when they were active.
it's a great time. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions or comments?
This is great. These are really impressive athletes.
I certainly knew Coach Pavlechko myself personally, and that was a big loss a few years ago when he passed away very suddenly.
He served on our board of directors for a while, so that's when I got to know him, and did a great job. And the number of...
director as well.
Yeah, the number of athletes that contacted us about him was incredible, saying he was a mentor to them and did a great job. We think this is one of our strongest classes ever.
Commissioner Dershowitz, I know you're a big fan.
Well, I mean, this is like pretty neat stuff from a history standpoint. I mean, you have folks that made a difference as athletes, and then they went on to become coaches and mentors and really make a difference in the community. And I think this is a fitting tribute to those folks. And it reminds us that, although these things might have happened a generation ago, there's just so many amazing folks in our community that it's good to recognize them and to keep that history alive and let people, realize, and particularly their families, that they did have a huge impact on what we consider an important part of our region, which is sports, and their reach, as you just suggested a few minutes ago, extends well beyond Center County, and we've sent some amazing athletes out there, and look forward to seeing a continued class every year to recognize folks that have made a major difference in our area. So thank you for all the hard work, and Bonnie, thank you for filling in all those gaps and taking care of all the tough stuff that needs to be done to put something like this together. Appreciate it.
Great, well, thank you so much for coming. Are there questions from the press?
Did you say the number of tickets sold is?
We're over 300, and we can certainly accommodate another 100. We could accommodate up to 400 easily.
I mean, they keep hearing about sports tourism in Center County. This event alone seems like it continues to generate more interest each year.
We think so. I've tracked the numbers, and we started out at the Ramada Inn and outgrew that. We couldn't have enough seating there, so we went to the Penn Stater, and we peaked right around COVID time. And since then, it's been a challenge to get back up to the numbers we had pre-COVID. But we've been in the 300, 350, 400 range now for the last few years. We've actually been in existence 8 years, but this is our 6th banquet. The first year we organized, got officers, raised some money, and we lost a year to COVID. So this is our 6th class. But again, they can get tickets online at our Center County Sports Hall of Fame.com.
Thank you.
Jeff Byers going to be the MC.
Jeff Byers will be the MC, and Roger Corey, who did the voiceovers in the past, has since retired, and Jeff will be doing the voiceovers as well. One other thing I'll mention, and this came up fairly late, is we're also going to be recognizing the undefeated 1973 State College High School football team. This is their 50th anniversary, and we're trying to get as many of those team members to the banquet as possible. They've produced a video just on their interviews on the 73 team, and I think about between 25 and 30 made it back for the state high game a week or so ago, and we're expecting maybe 12 or 15 of them to be able to attend the banquet. We've never inducted teams, but we want to begin to recognize teams that have accomplished that. They were named state champions. In those days, you didn't play it off in 73. It was a poll, and the Harrisburg Patriot named them the #1 team in the state. So some of those people will be people that you might know locally that were on that team were Judge Tom Kistler was on the team, and Realtor Scott Yoakum was on the team. Clay Singletary was on the team. I'm not sure who all else, but those were some of the bigger names. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Bonnie. One of the things we also do, and I'm glad she mentioned this to me, is we award scholarships to high school students every year. And this year we doubled the scholarship amount. So this year we gave out $12,000 in scholarships to 12 high school students in Center County, 1 female, 1 male, and the 5 public high schools and St. Joe's Academy. their schools name outstanding seniors, male, female again, in sports, who have great academic records as well. I didn't mention St. Joe's earlier because they are so relatively young. We don't have people coming out of there that are being
Yeah.
inducted in the Hall of Fame. They are participating. They now have a board member. They've made financial contributions, but they haven't had anybody recognized yet. Our three basic criteria are you over 55 years of age, one, or were you in the sport 25 years, or have you been retired for 3 years? That's why you end up with people like Josh Hull and John Kondo, who might be in their 30s, but they were outstanding in college or the pros, but they've been out of the sport for at least 3 years. Where it gets difficult sometimes is were they in the sport for 25 years, if they're a wrestler, and they're coaching now and they're only 30, but they started when they were 4. In some instances, they are that young out there, 4, 5, and 6 years of age participating in these tournaments, so. Well, we've taken a lot of your time, I appreciate it.
That's all right. Yeah, very interesting. Any other questions from the press? All right. Why don't we move forward then with the motion, and we'll present the proclamation.
Okay, I will move to adopt Proclamation 40 of 2023, proclaiming October 22nd, 2023 as Center County Sports Hall of Fame Day in Center County.
And I will second that.
We have a motion, a second, to adopt proclamation number 40, proclaiming October 22nd as Center County Sports Hall of Fame in Center County. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Why don't you two of you come on up, and we'll have a rare 4-commissioner photo. If you could be just to the right of that.
We're not gonna let you.
Yeah, that way, yeah. Steve's been wanting to have the
Right next to him.
Yes, centered on the
Hold on to that. Just,
All right.
thank you very much for coming here.
Great, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks as always, and we'll see you here on the 22nd.
Okay, great.
All right. Now we will move on to our next proclamation, which has a number of people here. It's proclamation number 41, proclaiming October as Center County Protects Kids Month in Center County. And we have, it looks like everybody's here. I don't know exactly which order you're in, but we have Kristen Bishop, Jamie Sanfilippo, Teresa Kiefer, and Stephanie Haldeman, and if I mispronounce anything, I'm sorry. So whoever would like to speak first, but obviously very important topic, especially for county staff, but really parents and all citizens in the county.
Yeah, I'd just like to talk about the Better Together collaboration. If you are not familiar with that, that includes the Youth Service Bureau, the YMCA, Center Safe, Children and Youth Services at Mount Nittany Medical Center, the Children's Advocacy Center at Mount Nittany Medical Center. And we meet at least monthly to come up with new ways to engage adults and also to prevent child abuse, countywide. So we would like to talk about October, and I would like to say that we are officially launching the new version of Stewards of Children in January. However, we are previewing it in October. So if anyone would like to take that training sooner, please feel free to check out our website, ymcaocc.org. And that's just one of the many things that we're doing in October to recognize Center County Protects Kids Month.
I'm Stephanie Haldeman, and so part of my role with the Better Together Collaborative is finding ways to get events put together with this group. One of the events that we're doing in October, we are working with the Pennsylvania State Police for a car seat check. So October 20th at the Mount Nittany Medical Center Administrative Offices parking lot here in Bellefonte from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. Anybody who wants their car seat checked by the Pennsylvania State Police can join the collaboration here over there and get their car seat checked.
It's important. I know the instructions are complicated, and a lot of people just don't put it together quite right.
Yeah, and every car seat is different, every car is different, so reading the manuals, getting some tips on how to find out the best practice for it can be a little complicated, but the car seats are getting QR codes with videos you can do right in your car, so they'll be able to get exposure to some of that, and pamphlets on to take home so that you can have some extra tips.
Thanks.
And I'm Christine Bishop with the Youth Service Bureau, and I just wanted to say, our mission at YSB is to make sure that every child who lives here, learns here, plays here, has the opportunities they need to be successful. And so I think we're never going to reach that mission fully until we have, every responsible adult in the community really recognizing and understanding their role in how to protect kids. So thank you for this opportunity to proclaim October as Center County Protects Kids Month. Especially with the Stewards of Children training that Jamie spoke of. We're very excited about the new version of it. There's some great, new additions added in. So if you've taken it before, feel free. It's a great refresher to come and take it with us again. But really, we want every adult to understand their role in recognizing, preventing, and reacting responsibly to child abuse so that we can all keep our kids safer. Thanks.
I'm Teresa Kiefer, also with the Youth Service Bureau, and as part of our collaboration, we wanted to highlight some things for October. So in combination with Center Safe, YSB has partnered with them to do Project Safe and Smart, which is to prevent child abuse and to be able to teach children at the age of second grade in the county. Our goal is to reach every child in second grade and be able to teach them about safe touch. But we have launched this year the Smart Parents, and any parent who has a child between the ages of 0 to 18 can take this. And so if you visit our website at CCYSB, you will find out details and locations for a Smart Parents, and hopefully, again, a way for every parent to be educated in a way to help their child. So there will be things like internet safety for older kids and how do we do that, which I know is something that is on the mind of every person raising a child in this day and age. So we hope that the community will join us and make that a very successful time. If you miss October, there will be other opportunities, but we'd love to have as many people in October as possible. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, thanks for presenting, Kristen, Jamie, Teresa, and Stephanie. I'll turn it over to Commissioner Concepcion.
Thank you so much for being here. I think those kind of trainings are really crucial for understanding, like, what are the best practices when we're setting up organizations that serve children in order to protect children. Anything from having 2 adults at a time, 2 kids at a time, together in any kind of situation, so that we're making sure that kids are not alone, right? So I think it's really good work that's been done by the Stewards of Children program over time, and getting into schools to be able to reach kids so that they have the information they need to know how to talk about these issues and how to get help if they need help, and to be able to identify what is safe and what is not safe. So, yeah, thanks for all your work. Really tremendously important and critical to our mission in the county in terms of protecting kids. So, thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Dershowitz.
I think the old saying, an ounce of prevention is where the pound of cure comes in here. I think, being proactive and the collaboration between all the organizations is fantastic. I think that's something we do particularly well in Center County, and we promote, we've always promoted that in regard to child safety. But as the threats and complexities of keeping children safe, particularly through the internet, and human trafficking and all the things that occur out there, I think I think this is an endless cycle of education and making sure that the public understands all the new things that are happening. And the Stewards of Children program, I think, has been very successful. I don't know how many folks that you've trained so far, but I'm sure it's thousands and thousands.
8,200.
Yeah, and that number is sure to grow. So it's one of those things where we're very proud that you're working together and keeping our children safe and making sure that we have the tools to accomplish those ends. So thank you, and thanks for coming in. And if there's anything you need from the county, we have our crack team here to assist. So let us know, and thanks again for coming in.
Yeah, the other two commissioners have mentioned Stewards of Children. It's a national program that trains adults how to help recognize and report child abuse. And I know before, at one of the prior years, there was a mention that roughly 5% of adults was sort of a trigger area where if the child reports more than a couple of times to an adult, they'll probably either encounter somebody who's had the training or somebody who can refer them to someone who has the training. Can you expand on that a little bit? I know we have one of the highest rates in the nation for training.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that 5% is a statistic that they came up with. So when you train 5% of adults in any community, in anything, that's when you really start to see that social change or that cultural shift, in a community. So we've actually hit that 5% mark several years ago, and that was around 5,000 adults, a little bit more than 5,000. And yeah, we're well over 8,000 adults to date. We're just going to keep plugging away here. So we were lucky enough to just recently received a grant from Mountain Indian Medical Center, and that's going to be in partnership with Mountain Indian Medical Center and the Youth Service Bureau to continue this training for at least the next 3 or 4 years, to keep this training free and accessible to every adult in Center County. So that's our goal, is to eliminate any kind of barrier for people to take this training and to continue it. And like I said, we're set for at least another 3 or 4 years.
Wonderful, tremendous
Yeah.
job. Questions from the press on this important topic? No? Great. Well, thanks again for the team of the multiple nonprofits working together to help protect children in Center County. We appreciate it. We'll take a motion, and then we'll bring you up to present the proclamation.
I will move to adopt Proclamation 41 of 2023, proclaiming October 2023 as Center County Protects Kids Month in Center County.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to adopt proclamation number 41, proclaiming October as Center County Protects Kids Month. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose nay. Motion carries. Come on up. All right. Push this a pitch further than usual.
Coming in.
Come on in and center on the map. Let's get that near the middle.
As best we can.
As best we can. All right. Fill in a little now. Dennis, there again? Erin can send you a copy of the photo. Thank you. Thanks again for coming.
you.
Appreciate it.
Safe.
Thank you.
Good work. Thanks, Stephanie. All right.
Okay. All right, now we will, after promoting the nonprofits doing good work here in the county, we'll move on to bids and proposals. I think Beth is here from the Elections Department.
Morning, Commissioners. I'm here to ask for your consideration to approve a contract with Advanced Shipping Technologies for the transportation of election voting equipment not to exceed $21,668. This will be a cooperation. We will be working with this company. We will have a county employee with them through their deliveries to complete the chain of custody, and we're working on a form that we're going to do, an electronic form on a tablet where they'll take pictures and record when they're delivered as well.
Thanks for covering the chain of custody part, Beth, and I believe the county employee will also be someone who knows exactly where the equipment needs to be stored at
Correct. It's the person has been on that route in the past.
the 80-plus different locations that we have throughout the county.
Correct.
Commissioner
They're all bonded and insured, correct?
Correct.
Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
Have they done this did I ask this before? Have they done this kind of work before?
They haven't done this exact work, but they've done similar jobs as well.
They've done school testing equipment.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
That's also, has a high level of security.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's also fragile electronic equipment. Okay. All right. Commissioner Dershowitz, any questions?
No, I have confidence in Beth's selection of the company.
Thank you.
Great. Any questions from the press on the topic? No? All right. Looks like we can take a motion then.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Advanced Shipping Technologies Incorporated for the transportation of elections voting equipment pending final solicitor review.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Advanced Shipping Technologies for the transportation of elections voting equipment pending final solicitor review. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Now we'll move on to contracts. John has a capital project.
Good morning, Commissioners. Before you for consideration is a proposal for special inspection services with CMT Laboratories on the Center County Courthouse retaining wall project. The building code requires certain types of inspections when there are engineered types of elements within a project. And what CMT would do would be provide engineering technician and professional engineering services for the grouting of cylinders, testing of the shotcrete that would be placed in the walls, as well as soil proctoring and classification types of things. That's relative to compaction of materials and making sure that things are being placed back properly. So if you recall, CMT actually did the original analysis of the walls and what was behind the walls. So they're very familiar with the project. So before you, for consideration, again, would be a proposal for those inspection services for the contract total of $49,225.
Great. Thanks, John. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
This makes sense.
All right, Commissioner Dershowitz.
No, I think it's good. I've never heard the term soil proctoring before, so.
It's where you take
Continue to learn.
Yeah, you take a material and you find out what the optimal compaction rate is that you can get on that material when you have just the right amount of moisture in it.
Okay. Interesting. Good definition there. And I know CMT Laboratories is a local small business, so we're happy to support them for that, too. All right. Unless there's any other questions, we'll take a motion.
I will move to approve the proposal with CMT Laboratories Incorporated.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the proposal with CMT Laboratories do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks. I don't see Carrie, but she's on the agenda.
Good morning. I'm here before the board to request approval to submit two project modification requests to the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency for two current grants that we have. The first one is the grant that supports our mental health specialist at the correctional facility. If you recall, the staff that held that position left at the end of June of this year, so that position's been vacant for the past 12 weeks. It has been filled, and that individual started actually yesterday. But anytime there's a change in the individual who holds that position in the grant, I must modify that information. As well, because of the 12-week vacancy, we're going to have additional funds. We want to make sure we have time to expend all of that money. So I'm requesting PCC to extend the grant until June 30th of 2024. It was set to end the end of this year. And had there not been a change in staff, we would have been on schedule. So that is the first one. Do you want me to move on to the second one?
Yes, go ahead.
The second one is our MAT grant, Medicaid Assisted Treatment Grant for $500,000. So we've had several planning meetings between the correctional facility, our county drug and alcohol office, Crossroads Counseling, and then Prime Care Medical. And our initial plan, while it was a very good one, is not going to work exactly as we intended. So we need to modify some of the services. So Prime Care is going to have to do a little bit more than we anticipated because when individuals are committed, say over the weekend or over a holiday, and they need to continue their medicated assisted treatment, that's not going to be possible with Crossroads at that stage, just because of how that's worked out with them being incarcerated. So we have to modify how the money is distributed slightly with that as well. So that's the change there in that one.
Great, well, thanks, Carrie, and thanks for being thorough so we can preserve the grant funding. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
No, I think, good explanation.
Great, Commissioner Dershowitz?
Great programs, and I think the MAT grant will be well served.
Great, well, thanks for your work on this, Carrie, and thanks for helping assist those who are incarcerated with mental health services and medically assisted treatment to help them kick their addictions. Appreciate that. Looks like we're ready to take a motion then.
Okay, I will move to approve the criminal justice planning items 1 and 2.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2 criminal justice planning items. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries. Great, thanks, Carrie. Thank you. All right, and now we have 3 different items for planning and community development, and Kochi, I think, will cover the first 2.
Yeah, I actually have the first 2, and I'm going to combine them if you're okay with that, because they're both on the same project. We're asking for consideration to approve the notice to proceed and the contract agreement with Gleno Hallbaker for the 2019 county multimodal bridge replacement bundle for Railroad Street and Bellefonte Borough, and that's in the amount of $3,854,000. The second one is the notice to proceed for the Eads Group for the construction inspection for the same 2019 Center County multimodal bridge replacements for Railroad Street in Bellefonte Borough and Mill Street Bridge in Howard Borough. The Mill Street Bridge project will replace the existing single-span concrete encasement steel I-beam bridge. The Railroad Street Bridge project will require the design and construction of the proposed structure and temporary bridge installation of temporary excavation support and protection system within the railroad right-of-way. So there's an additional component there. The project will require the construction of a temporary at-grade railroad crossing as part of the traffic control plan at the Railroad Street Bridge in Bellefonte. These projects will be funded through the Center County fee for local use funds in the amount of $900,000. The County Act 13 funds currently we're allocating $1 million, and then each of the boroughs, Howard Borough and Bellefonte Borough, will be contributing $30,000 each, of which we received Howard Borough's currently. We're waiting on Bellefonte Borough's. And then there's a PennDOT multimodal grant in the amount of $2,070,000. So that will cover the cost of construction. We've reviewed with PennDOT and Larson Design Group, and they both approved each of the documentation that needed support submitted for Hallbaker and Eads Group. So we're just asking for consideration to approve the notice to proceed.
Great, thanks, Kochi. If you could step there for a second. So we've got 2 different bridges. I believe they're the only entrance and egress for both of these neighborhoods and small businesses.
They are. Actually, the Mill Street Bridge in Howard Borough is the one that goes out to the park access, to the boat access, boat launch area in the back portion of Howard, and there are several homes back in that area. So, and then the Bellefonte Borough it runs right past the Graymont structure, and it's the only way in for this Sunnyside area and the Railroad Street portion.
And the kayaking club and the CEDACOG.
That's in the CEDACOG Railroad, and that's a big component of the Railroad Street Bridge project.
And it looks like the 2 bridges together are pushing $4 million. Obviously, this isn't the type of money that Howard Borough or Bellefonte Borough has.
That's correct.
So we're utilizing about $1.9 million of county funding, a total of $60,000 of funding from the 2 boroughs, and then we're pulling down over $2 million of state money.
That's correct. Yeah, and those numbers could be subject to change based on construction, because construction prices, these are need to be built in place. So as that progresses, we'll keep monitoring the cost of that, but that's where it is right now. And I stress that in 2019, when the multimodal grant was obtained, the total construction cost was $2,070,000. So that's just how in the couple of years with COVID that things have expanded, so.
Any questions on these 2 from Commissioner Concepcion?
No, that's a clear explanation. It seems like this Railroad Street Bridge is pretty complex because of.
Yeah, it is very complex, and the utility right-of-way, the changes that have to be in, because it's such a tight location in there. There's also an unknown property within that same area, so that, there are a multitude of things that we're dealing with that.
Commissioner Dershowitz, any questions?
I'm always fascinated by unknown properties.
Yes.
They exist out there, and people don't appreciate the fact there are little sections of our map that are like no man's land.
Yes.
So it's always fascinating to hear. You've just found another one.
We just found another one, yes, yes. So.
All right, well, great. Thank you very much, Coachy. Thanks for the explanations. And then Ray has something for the Community Development Block Grant.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. We'd like you to consider approval of the fiscal year 2022 CDBG program contract with the Pennsylvania Department of Community Economic Development. The amount of that contract is $464,918, and that's for a period of August 21st, 2023 through August 20th of 2027. If you recall, the 2022 CDBG application included the Gregg Township Community Center, where they're going to replace floors and windows in the gymnasium for residential use, the Boys and Girl Scouts, 4-H, and local youth sports teams. And that's a total amount of $230,050. The other part of that is the Eagle Creek subdivision project with sewer and water realignment and that installation with a backup for the water supply. That totals about $52,000, but that's identified as a project due to the fact that it needs to be allocated on an allocation for CDBG in order to be eligible for a competitive grant. So those are the two projects under that approval.
Great. Thanks, Ray. Yeah, these are funds that the commissioners usually distribute to the rural portions of the county, often for water and sewer projects, but we've been happy to assist the Old Gregg School. In addition to the groups you mentioned, there's a broad variety of nonprofits that also operate out of that structure. Very popular, very well loved. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions on the CDBG?
Sounds good.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
When will the competitive grants be let? In other words, when will we apply for that, or what's the process?
CDBG, or for the competitive CDBG, usually in February of next year would be the time period for the competitive.
That's when we apply for it?
Apply for it, yes.
What's usually, how long is that? I forget. I know we've done them in Ruversburg and other places, but what's?
I would have to check with Mitzi on that time frame. I'm not sure exactly.
I was just wondering whether it would be in the 2024 year or the following.
Most likely 2024 would be my estimation.
All right, I believe it was a competitive CDBG project in Potter Township that I think Dick Decker was leading, that was like the largest or second largest grant of its type ever in the Commonwealth.
That was the sewer lateral project.
Yes, yes. So we've had some pretty good successes in that area, and so to Commissioner Dershowitz' point, we want to be prepped for February to put in some applications for that as well.
And right now, we have a good partnership with CEDACOG in helping us with the CDBG program. It's immense help to my department with CEDACOG, and Mitzi's very knowledgeable of the program, so I've learned, again, all the ins and outs of CDBG through CEDACOG, so.
Wonderful. Any questions from the press on those three projects? No? All right. Unless there's anything else, we can take a motion.
I will move to approve planning and community development items 1 through 3.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the three items for planning and community development do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Coachy. And now Julia has 3 items for adult services.
Morning. I'm filling in for Faith this morning. So the first item I have, the Human Services Block Grant Income and Expense Report. I'm going to ask you to table for a future meeting. We were waiting on some information from the state. Thought we would have it by today, but we don't. So we will be asking that that's tabled, and we will be coming back to you in a future meeting asking for approval.
All right. Great. Thanks.
And then the second thing I have is, for your consideration, is the Q4 report for the State Food Purchasing Program. This is a standard report that is submitted at the end of each fiscal year. So the total is $101,225.60. And Faith would like me to let you know that that number served 1,425 households.
Great. Now, I notice here that we have down to do the approval for these 2 items together, so I think we'll need a motion to table first, and then we can approve the one remaining item.
Okay. I will move to table item 1 in adult services.
All right, we have a motion, a second, to table the approval and explanation of the Human Services Block Grant for the fiscal year 22-23. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Now we can, I think, move on to approving the second item.
Yes, so this is, for your consideration, is a recalculation
Oh,
of.
no, sorry, we're,
Oh, I'm sorry.
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 That's okay. Actually, I had a question. So how, this is funds for purchasing food that goes through adult services?
It goes
Explain a little more
through,
about the program.
it's completed by the local lead agency, which is Central PA Community Action. And so then this is the report that we submit to them based on those funds. Submit to the state based on those funds.
Got it. So how, can you just explain like, who this is serving and how that's determined and?
I can try. So it looks like this is the State Food Purchase Program. And so as Central PA Community Action, as the lead agency, they are, they show what their expense, sort of like the expenses, what their expenses were, and then how much administrative costs, and then how much actually went to directly serving families.
This goes through the food banks, I presume, is it?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know there's somebody in the audience that has those answers.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
so another example of where the county partners with a local
Yes.
nonprofit.
Now that makes,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, sorry, soup kitchens and on-site meal programs count as well.
Great, okay.
It's a great program.
All right. Okay, should I make a motion then?
Yes, please.
I will move to approve item 2 in adult services.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion, a second, to approve the second item, which is the Quarter 4 report for the State Food Purchase Program in partnership with the Central PA Community Action. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, now we can move on to the third item.
Okay, so the third item for your consideration before you is an addendum with the Builders Association of Central PA for the Workforce Development Programming and Services through the Whole Home Repair Program. So there needed to be a recalculation in the allocation to include the 4% in administrative funds. And so this new calculation includes that 4% with the administrative funds. So, and when the original calculations were made for the allocation with the Builders Association, that 4% wasn't included. So this will then allow for that 4% to be included, so we've increased their allocation of all federal funding.
Thanks, Julie. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion? Commissioner Dershowitz? No, happy to partner with the Builders Association of Central PA for workforce training. We'll take a motion then.
I will move to add the contract addendum with the Builders Association of Central PA to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to add the contract addendum with the Builders Association of Central PA to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, thanks, Julia. All right, now Leah can come up and actually present instead of providing moral support.
That's right, that's right. Good morning. Still here for moral support, of course. This morning I am here before you to ask for your consideration for the approval of 2 contracts, both for childcare services. The first contract is with the Summit for Early Learning Incorporated. They will provide childcare services. The contract total is $5,000, funded by the state for $4,000 and the county for $1,000 for the period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. And then the second childcare contract is with the Bennett Family Center at Penn State for also childcare services. That contract total is for $10,000, with the state portion of $8,000 and the county share at $2,000 for the period of September 11th, 2023 to June 30th of 2024.
Thanks, Leah. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion? Commissioner Dershowitz? Take a motion then.
I move to add the CNYS items 1 and 2 to next week's consent agenda.
And I will second that.
We have a motion, a second, to add the 2 items for children and youth services to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Leah. And now Kathy has 10 items to present, but I think we have to vote on the first item immediately after you present it.
We do have a plethora of items for today's agenda, and we will start with the first item for today's approval. The first item is approval of a settlement agreement for your signature with the Pennsylvania Opioid Misuse and Addiction Abatement Trust to participate in the most recent national prescription litigation with other counties and subdivisions in Pennsylvania. Our participation this signature will allow the county to receive additional funding for approved activities to benefit individuals affected by the opioid crisis. This settlement agreement total will be determined by the settlement trust and would be initially for the period January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. You'll remember that the first settlement amount that we received through the opioid trust was a settlement was first arranged as a settlement with distributors, 3 distributors, and Janssen. And then there was an add-on to that settlement with Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and then 2 pharmaceutical companies, Teva and Allergan. This is now a settlement with the Mallinckrodt bankruptcy. And so this is now an additional sign-on. They need all the counties and litigants to sign on in agreement, and then there'll be an additional payment that is made. So far we'll be receiving our third payment from the first distribution. This will be done the same way. All the signatories sign on, and then we'll be looking to receive payments from this settlement over a period of 7 years. And this will be added on in the same way. The approved activities will be from the appendix that is outlined from the original settlement, and it'll just come in every year, and we can use it for those approved activities. So they're looking for us to do a sign-on agreement to accept the dollars and to use them for those approved activities.
Great. Thanks for the explanation, Kathy. Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
We want to make sure that we have the resources to help those who have been affected by this crisis. So.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
No, that's pretty clear.
All right, we'll take a motion then.
I will move to approve the settlement agreement with the Pennsylvania Opioid Misuse and Addiction Abatement Trust.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the settlement agreement with the Pennsylvania Opioid Misuse and Addiction Abatement Trust, do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, Kathy, now if you could go through the next 9 items expeditiously, that'd be great.
And I'm going to group these just a little differently and kind of match them up. Items 2 and 4 are fiscal reports for our department. Item 2 is our fourth quarter 22-23 drug and alcohol report. The report pages as they were submitted show on the summary page, which was on top, show that we have spent all of our drug and alcohol funds for fiscal year 22-23, except for a small amount of money in our state opioid response funds, which on the federal fiscal year, the remaining dollars are available to us through September. Because of the federal fiscal year. And we will expend all of those by the end of September. But otherwise, we have spent all of our funds. We are under our cap requirement of 20% for admin, and we met our required county match requirement. And so there is no repayment required to the Department of Drug and Alcohol programs, and we have spent all of the funds that they provided us. So we are in great shape with the Department of Drug and Alcohol programs, and our report submission is as required by the state. Item 4 is our fiscal report submission for early intervention for fiscal year 21-22. Early intervention is always 1 year behind because it is an entitlement program, and so they need a little more time to dot the i's, cross the t's, because everybody ends 0, no pluses, no minuses, everything gets paid, and so no goofs, no errors, and they have to get everything in alignment. They are just getting all that coordinated, and then they can start on 22-23. And we are also in complete alignment with their reporting requirements, all zeros, i's dotted, t's crossed, ticked and tied and everything. So those 2 reports are ready for commissioner signature and to be submitted to the state. Items 3 and 5 are contract renewals with Send Clear Child Services. Send Clear Child Services is their legal name, but they provide services to both children and adults. Item 3 is our contract with them to provide drug and alcohol services, including case management, outpatient, intensive outpatient, group, MAT. That contract is for $40,000 for the time period July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. And item 5 is for mental health services, psychiatric evaluation, med visits, psychotherapy, psychological testing, neuropsych, contract total $32,500 for the same time period, July through June fiscal year. Item 6 is a contract renewal with the Penn State Psych Clinic, same mental health services, same time period, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. That contract is $10,000. Items 7 through 9 are contract addendums for the time period July 1st, 2022 through 2023. The first is Eagle Valley Personal Care Home for the housing support services that they provide in the amount of $132,385. This will increase their contract maximum from $600,000 to $732,385. The next one is contract addendum number 1 with Eagle View Personal Care Home, and adds additional funds for mental health community residential services. It adds $82,511 to their contract. And then number 9, contract addendum is with Strawberry Fields for their mental health community residential services, and it adds $90,000 to their contract maximum. Again, for the time period July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. And then the last item is a letter of agreement renewal with Sunny Days Adult Daily Living for community participation services and transportation. This contract total is $18,000 for the time period July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
Great, thanks, Kathy. That was quite a lot. Any questions from Commissioner Concepcion? Commissioner Dershowitz?
Some great partnerships, thank you.
Great partnerships, great organizations, and as the county has, this is already a super department of 3 major entitlement areas, and each one of those areas has many multiple funding streams, some of which don't spend their whole budget in the budget season, some of which actually end up going a bit over and getting our permission beforehand, and so we're just reallocating the funds.
Exactly.
Great, thanks, Kathy. I think we take a motion then.
I will move to add the MHID, EI, DNA items 2 through 10 to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to add the mental health, intellectual disability, early intervention, drug and alcohol items 2 through 10 to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye, pose nay, motion carries. Great, thanks, Kathy. We'll have Kochi back up for some flexibility on a project for Snowshoe Borough.
What we're asking is that the commissioners consider approval of a change in scope for the fee for local use funds that were awarded to Snowshoe Borough in the amount of $25,110 to add pipe work to the Thomas Street paving project. The funds were awarded last year through the fee for local use funds. As they were going through doing the project, they found that there was some additional pipe work that was needed. Ultimately, it increases the cost of the project to $64,565. So they wanted to be able to use the $25,110 for the pipe as well as for the paving to contribute to the total project. So that's the change in scope. There's no change in funds, just the change in what they're doing. Yeah.
Glad we could be flexible to help out Snowshoe Borough. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion? Commissioner Dershowitz? No, take a motion then.
I will move to approve the fee for local use change in scope for Snowshoe Borough.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the fee for local use change in scope for Snowshoe Borough, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks, Coachy. We have a kind of a smallish consent agenda. Unless there's any questions, I think we could take a motion.
I'll move to approve this week's consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving this week's consent agenda, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, now we'll move on to authorities, boards, and commissions. We have a reappointment of Darlene Hoy to the Center County Housing Authority for a term of October 1st of 2023 through September 30th of 2028. Unless there's any questions, we could take a motion to approve the appointment.
I will move to approve the ABC term appointment for Darlene Hoy.
We have a motion and a second to approve the ABC term appointment for Darlene Hoy. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'd like to thank Darlene for volunteering to serve on that board. Now we'll move on to a CNET request. I think is best covering that then.
Yes. So I am asking for a sponsorship for the taping of the live stream of the 2023 municipal election vote by mail center at the Penn Stater. And we are also going to make a change to this. We will be counting ballots here at the EOC throughout the day as well. So we were hoping that we won't have that whole night process. If we process them here throughout the day, the ones that come in on election day, then we'll also hopefully be done by 9:30 then. So we're kind of feeling some things out, trying to prepare for next year,
All right.
seeing what will work, what won't work. So this is a plan that hopefully will get us ahead of the game for next year.
Well, that's amazing, Beth. It's, I'm glad to see that we're becoming more and more efficient over time in counting the ballots while still following the proper procedures and being taped,
Correct.
live streamed the entire time.
Yes, so I have talked to Cindy at CNET, and they will also provide the live stream at the EOC as well. So they'll cover both locations.
Wonderful, wonderful. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion?
I think this is good that citizens can see the process in action, so.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
All good. Thank you.
We'll take a motion then.
I will move to approve the CNET sponsorship for the 2023 municipal election vote by mail processing room.
We have a motion and a second to approve the CNET sponsorship for the 2023 municipal election vote by mail processing room. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
Now we'll move to Commissioner Concepcion for average size check run.
Yeah, so the check that I wanted to recognize in this week's check run is to Strawberry Fields. This check is for providing early intervention services for children in our community who may have some special needs. So with that, I would like to move to approve the check run dated September 22nd, 2023.
We have a motion and a second to approve the check run dated September 22nd. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Any administrators report, John?
Just a brief update on the Willowbank paving project. The paving portion is complete. All the lots are now open. We're just waiting for the weather to cooperate in order to do the line striping.
Great. Thanks, John. Glad that project went fairly smoothly. For reports, we have a voters registration report from Commissioner Dershowitz.
All right. We have 99,990 registered voters in Center County this morning. That's up 28 from last report. The highlight reel includes 42,037 Democratic registrations, 133 Green Party, 595 Libertarian, 13,500 no affiliation, and 40,654 Republican voters. And when you add the 3,071 all others, you get the 99,990 number. The feature small party today is the Both Party. And the Both Party has one registered voter, and we'd like to recognize them. The precinct feature of the day is precinct number 26, which is State College East. They vote at the Friends Meeting House. And in the last election, there were 1,817 registered voters. There were 78 ballots cast, which led to a percentage voter turnout of 4.29%. So there you have it, at the Friends Meeting House. So
10 short of 100,000 for
there you go.
Registered voters.
Yep, that's the number.
I don't believe I have any other regular announcements. John, do we have any executive sessions to report or hold?
No executive sessions to report or hold.
All right, and the remainder of our public meeting schedule, we have a work session that was supposed to start 6 minutes ago. On Thursday, we have our Finance Committee at 9. On Monday, the Commissioner Budget Work Sessions start. The first one will be at 2:30. Tuesday, October 3rd, regular Board of Commissioners meeting at 10, followed by a work session at 11. And then on Thursday, October 5th, we have a Board of Elections meeting at 1. Any questions from the press this morning? No? All right. Unless there's anything else for the good of the order, we'll adjourn, take a couple-minute break, and then go into the work session.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn, 11:06. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll take a couple-minute break and go to the work session.